Hey everyone, this is Lori Barnes from Kepler College. I help astrologers launch and grow their astrology practice. And I'm here with my co-host for Let's Talk Astrology Business, Marie O'Neill. Marie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Marie O'Neill. I'm the founder of Padma Life Coaching and one of the instructors at Kepler College. I work with people who are ready to rejuvenate their life after they've gone through an emotional upheaval. Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Astrology Business.
Today, we're going to talk to you about the astrologer's marketing plan. We're really excited to share with you the components that make up a marketing plan. So stay tuned and we're going to go through it step by step.
This is one of my favorite subjects, marketing. Why should you actually have a marketing plan? You want to make sure that your direction, your goals are clear. You want to make sure that you know who your ideal client is and that you identify your ideal client. You want to make sure that you have a promotional plan and a sales funnel to be able to get people into your system or your funnel so that you can hopefully make money. You also want to have consistent branding. And so a marketing plan will help you with that. You want to be efficient with your resources and with managing your resources. Another thing is you want to be able to adapt and evolve with the market because remember, everything changes and you need to be able to change when the market changes. There's also the need to be able to measure your success. And you want to be able to scale your business and grow your business. So, having a marketing plan that is effective and efficient will help you with this.
We're going to get into the different components of a marketing plan for you. And the first one is about company values. It's really important that you develop values for your company, and they may look similar to your personal values. However, when you're developing values for your business, you want to think specifically about what you're doing with your business. And you can use the values that you state associated with your business to make decisions. Stay within my values. Does this decision or this behavior act like my values? And if you do it specifically for your company, that's a good thing because in your personal life, you may have other priorities. And then in your business, you have different priorities. So, for example, your personal values may be about family or home or work-life balance. Your values for your business may be integrity or customer satisfaction. So it's going to be a different set of words for your business. And I highly advise you to develop them and have them in place as you're developing your marketing plan, or if you already have one and you're here just to fine tune it or learn more, then go and develop them. That would be the first thing to do. It's the first part of your marketing plan. And in terms of how many, I usually say 5. I'm not super rigid about it, but if you have too many values, it's hard to keep track of them. So try to do around 5. Your values are what you stand for. It's your fundamental beliefs and principles. And your values should always align with your mission and your daily practices. If your new list of values doesn't seem to be in alignment with your mission or with your daily behavior, you really want to question which one is the most authentic. Because sometimes your values are exactly what you want them to be, but your behaviors or the characteristics that your company or your branding don't really match that, that there may be something out of alignment. If you have values and you feel like your behaviors and your characteristics are very much in alignment with your authentic self, it could be that your values need to be updated. It's about getting everything in alignment and using your values to help you make decisions as to where to go with your company. Values also help with the culture. If you have team members, then having values can let them know what they're expected to demonstrate, especially if they're in contact with your clients. We're with Kepler College. Kepler College has values. At Kepler, the faculty and the administration team and the board are all expected to demonstrate those values and to be within those values when they're representing Kepler College. So think about your own brand. When you're representing your brand, or if you have a team who's representing your brand, having values gives a framework to ensure that everyone is on the same page and they understand what is highly valued in your business. Marie, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, thank you, Lori. That was fantastic. The only thing that I would add to this is when I look at values, I see them as foundational, and the public automatically knows what your values are based on how you respond to them, how you run your business. If you have an astrology chart that you've pulled for your business, and I hope you have, you can also look to Venus's placement to help you with your values. What sign is Venus in? What house is Venus in? How is she aspected? Venus says no more than she says yes. This is going to, knowing what your values are is really going to help you with being able to say yes to maybe even certain opportunities and no to other opportunities that may look good but don't match your values. You must have them, and you do have them, whether they're stated or not. It's just better if you state them so that you can follow them, team members can follow them, and your customer knows what your values are, because some people will buy based on your values. The other thing that you want to look at is your passion. Why are you going to do this business? What is it that drives you? You really do need to be a passionate leader, because this is going to help you with your inspiration. It's going to help you be more satisfied. Being a passionate leader is something that your customer sees. It's how you engage with the world. It's how you engage with your potential clients. If they see your passion, then it's easier for your client to get on board with what it is you are offering. It's also easier for your team to be on board, because passion is something that is transferable. It's catching with the teammates, and that's what you want. It basically enhances your client loyalty, your brand authenticity. It strengthens that, it inspires, it's motivating. People are more likely to buy what it is you are offering if you are passionate about it. The other thing is a lack of passion can lead to disengagement. There's a weaker brand connection there. Passion is an energy, and it is something that if you're going to be an astrologer, or any business for that matter, you must have it. Because when you think about what goes into having a business, running a business, there's a lot of work involved. Why are you staying? You've got to have a motivation to stay up until 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning to create that content, to put that blog out there. If not, you're going to be exhausted and you may not achieve your ultimate goal. You may lose momentum. When you have that passion, it's enough to drive you. It's that Mars energy that just drives you forward, and you have a can-do attitude versus looking at the negative. You're going to look at the positive. You really do have to have the passion, and I would ask you to search yourself to make sure that you are passionate about whatever it is you're going to do, because that's going to keep you going day in, day out, year, seeing clients and being in this industry. Laurie, what would you like to add to that?
Owner passion is so important. In fact, if you are going to be an astrologer, a professional astrologer, that means you're going to be a small business owner. And if you don't have the passion to run your own business, it's going to be very difficult. In the beginning, it's a lot of work. If you are watching the clock and can't wait to finish doing whatever it is that you're doing in your practice, this is something that you want to look deeper into. The last video we did on a business plan, we talked about, is this a hobby or a business? So if you're sitting there and you're like, I'm not quite sure if I have the passion to open my own business and run it, look at that video as well as this one, because you're going
Mhm.
to get a lot of information as to what to expect. And some people prefer to be employees, some people prefer to work for someone else, and that is perfectly fine. What we want for you is for you to realize that as early as possible so that you can get on the road that's going to bring you the most happiness and the most success.
Mhm.
So plenty of astrologers find a great deal of satisfaction from running their own business. It's just not for everyone. And that is the purpose of owner passion in your marketing plan. Now, if you go out into the world and you look for those free templates online, you can find thousands of them. They probably don't have this in there. But this marketing plan layout is designed for astrologers and with the solopreneur in mind, the small business owner. And it's really important that there's that passion driving you, because that's going to help you do what you have to do in the beginning to get your business going. It takes a long time before a business becomes profitable, most of the time. You can find exceptions to the rule, but if we're looking at statistics, it takes a long time for you to build your business, to build a client base, to build a social media platform, to build anything. If you want to write a course, or if you want to write a blog, or you want to have a YouTube channel, all of these things take a lot of energy to get them up and running. So we want you to be sure that you've identified what that passion is so that you can lean into it when those days come that you're working 12 to 14-hour days. Like Maria's saying, you're at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning and you're still working. You may be tired, you may want to be done, but that passion is driving you. Like you just love it so much, it's worth it to get it done.
Absolutely. It's a different type of exhaustion when you are passionate.
I find myself saying it all the time because I'm pretty mindful of my words. But there are times when I'm tired. Like I've been working for 14 hours because there's just all this stuff that I wanted to get done. There may have been deadlines. And I'll say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad this is done. But I'm so thankful that I got to do it because
Mhm.
I'm working for me. This is my business and I'm happy to do this. Write
Yep.
your owner passion. If you're going along with us and you're looking at these different components of a marketing plan, this is the second piece. First, you're going to write about your values. And second, you're going to write about your owner passion. And like Maria was saying, look at your astrology chart. You're looking
Yeah.
to Venus for your values. You also look to Venus for what brings you pleasure. And you're looking for at Mars for how you're going to go and do your marketing plan. And you're probably going to look at your fifth house and say, what's going on there? The fifth house is all about you and your self-expression
Mhm.
and your pleasure. Those three things could be a good place to refer to while you're writing your owner passion.
People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that comes from your passion, the why you do it. So you've got to have it. This is by Simon Sinek.
Yeah, he's a pretty well-known marketing guru. If you follow marketing people, he's one of those inspirational speakers. You could Google him and probably learn a lot from him too.
Oh, yeah.
All right, moving on to the next part of your marketing plan, you will do a SWOT analysis. And you may be going, what? A SWOT? A what?
Let me get a fly swatter.
It's not a fly swatter, it's a SWOT. So what is a SWOT? Well, and why would we call it a SWOT? Well, we didn't name it, so that's why we have a SWOT. It's from the business world, and most companies use this. If it's a large company, I can pretty much guarantee that they do a SWOT, and most big companies will do a SWOT on each product. So not just for the whole company, but you can do it on each service. So you can do this as well. You can do a personal SWOT. So you can do one on yourself. You can do one on one of your offerings or your services, on your digital course. And for the marketing plan, you want to do it on your business. SWOT is an acronym. It stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And two of them relate to internal, meaning things that you can control because they're things that you have, like strengths, or things that you don't have, your weaknesses. Then we have the external two, which are opportunities and threats. Opportunities are coming from the outside and also those threats, or what I would call challenges, because we're using a term that's an industry term. I didn't change it. So when you go to write your SWOT, you will list 4 things, and you can put it in a box. That's how I often see them, is you have strengths and weaknesses at the top, and then you have opportunities and threats at the bottom 2 boxes. And what you're going to write about are your strengths. What do you do well? What experience and training do you have? What are your unique qualities? Then you look at your weaknesses. Where do you have room for improvement? Where are you possibly lacking resources? Or this is a really good one, what isn't getting done? So you may already be in practice and you already know what are the things that you tend to let slide because you don't know how to do it or you don't want to do it. This weaknesses section is a good place to look for figuring out who you want to bring on your team. If you want to hire someone, bring someone in, look at the weaknesses, because that's what you need. It doesn't matter how good that person is at something if you don't need that thing. So you want to know where the gap is for you. That's the 2 internal sections. Then we go to the external sections. So we have opportunities. Where are there opportunities? What are your goals? What is your big vision? What's coming your way? Where are there areas for growth? You could even do a gap report. It's another term used by businesses, and that's to look at the whole marketplace and see, well, what's missing that I can bring to this marketplace, something that you want to do, a service you have, a skill that you have. Then we look at the threats. So that's the other external piece. So what is happening out in the world that is challenging for your business? What obstacles are there? Do you have a large amount of competitors? And are there trends that are working? For example, if you're somebody who's not big on technology, and by the way, thank you for being here if you're not big on technology, but say that that's you, that's going to be a challenge for you because things are just going in the direction of having some sort of online component to it. That's how you do it. You look at those 4 pieces. And then when it comes to opportunities and threats, that's when we recommend that you bring in your astrology. We're astrologers. We don't need to throw a dart at the calendar or wonder when some positive period of time is coming to us, or where there's lots of opportunities, or maybe when there's more challenges coming our way. Astrology is there for us and we can use it. So definitely bring astrology in when you're writing about your opportunities and your challenges, because you know if you have a major Pluto transit or any of the outer planets coming on, or if you have a lot of Saturn squares and oppositions, then that's going to be a very different time period than when you have not so many major transits, or maybe you have some Jupiter or Venus stuff going on and they're well placed in your chart. Those are 2 very different time periods, and you can strategically plan around them and then do the things in the right time. So if you know you have to do a whole lot of hard work, then you may want to take that Saturn time period and use it to do that hard work. And maybe you want to launch a platform, and when you have Jupiter going through your 3rd house or associated with the 3rd or the 11th in some way, that might be a good time. So take those things into consideration. Marie, what would you like to add?
When you're looking at this SWOT analysis and you're writing everything out, do your best to stay motivated and not get discouraged, especially when you're looking at threats and you're looking at your weaknesses. There is always a solution. The reason I'm saying this is because some people will say, oh my goodness, I don't have this in place, or I don't have that in place, or I don't have this skill or that skill, so I can't start this business. I can't do what I want to do. And that is not true. There's always a solution. If you have a weakness, and I implore you to know what your weaknesses are, that is vital that you know. Then you find other people who are strong where you are weak and find ways to work with them. Maybe you barter, maybe you, whatever it is you need to do, get someone in your corner who is strong in areas that you're weak in. Whatever the threats are or the obstacles, you think about how many books are out here written on astrology or any other topic, you may say, oh my goodness, you have this wonderful idea for a book, but you look and you think, oh, this book is already written, somebody else has written it. Well, yes, and you have a voice. What you have to offer is being presented, you're going to present it in your own unique way. So when you're looking at challenges and external threats, you want to turn it around and see what you can do to meet those threats with the competitors. Because remember, there's a lot of astrologers out here to choose from. So why should one person come to you versus another? So you could see that the competitors as an obstacle. One of the lessons that I learned years ago, look at what you offer that isn't being offered. And that's a way to work with the threats. That's what I wanted to add about that. And astrology with the timing, that is something that is our superpower when it comes to business. Just a little side note, you could use this information to help others solve their problems. We next move into the 4 Ps of marketing. We're looking at the place, the product, which for us is the service that we offer. The place is where you're going to offer the service. And are you going to be working from home? Are you going to be traveling? Are you going to be doing it on Zoom? That's the place. And then the price and the promotion, how you're going to promote it. Marketing today, it's different than it has been in the past. You really do have to be customer centered today. You need to know what it is your customer is looking for, and that is what you provide. We're not telling people what we offer and then selling it. We are problem solvers as astrologers, and people come to us because we are problem solvers. And this is what you want to focus on because you want customer satisfaction. You want to be able to know what it is the customer actually wants because they're not going to buy from us if you are not solving their problem. The 4 Ps are basically a framework that is developed in your marketing plan for each service that you offer. If you're offering a membership program or you're offering group coaching, which you can do that as an astrologer. If you're going to offer a package, whatever it is you're going to offer, you really do need to look at your marketing plan for each service that you offer. You also want to develop your offerings early in your planning because this is going to direct the rest of your marketing plan. If you know what it is you're going to offer, you'll know where you're going. You'll figure out how to get there. With the 4 Ps, and they're basically the core components of your marketing plan. As I said, you want to know where you're going to offer it. You want to know what service. You want to know the price because price is so important. And the promotion. How are you going to get the word out about what it is you're doing? We will in the future do another webinar on promotion because it is key. It's how you get people into your marketing funnel. It's how you get people to know who you are. It's how you're going to help build your brand. So this is a key mix with the 4 Ps. Lori, what would you like to add to this?
I'd like to give you some advice for actually writing this part of your marketing plan. In the beginning of your marketing plan, we're asking you to do this, and you can write one set of the 4 Ps for your whole business. It's going to be hard to do that if you don't break it down by each offer when it comes to, the service and the price and the promotion. So I would focus on one offering. As if you're following along with us and you're writing your marketing plan, you're going to want to do this early on. But what I wanted to advise you is to not worry about developing the full promotion plan. What you would want to do at this point in your marketing plan is to think about what platforms you're going to use, but don't get stuck here. It's easy to get stuck because promotion is such a large thing. And you don't have to do that if you're just writing your marketing plan right now. Place, product, price, those are pretty easy. I know I'm going to deliver online and maybe some in person. I know that I want to offer natal readings and whatever else you're going to offer. I know how much I want to charge. And then when you get to promotion, it's going to be like, oh, I don't know what to write here. Where do I even start? So I just want you to kind of ease any kind of anxiety around that. And in the promotion part, be very broad or high level, more vision oriented. If you already have a platform chosen, then write that platform down, and you can leave it for now because we will help you develop more the promotion. We'll talk about that in a future video, or you can take a class like my Marketing for Astrologers class. We're going to go much more into detail on that. But for now, pick a platform and just pick one that you're either already on or that fits well how you like to promote yourself. So again, it's such a big topic. We'll get further into it, but you may love video and YouTube may be your platform. You may really dislike being on camera. YouTube's not your platform. You may like to talk, but not be on video. So podcast might be your platform. You may like to do a lot of short engagements. So Facebook or Instagram or TikTok might be a good platform for you because that's more about small bite-sized pieces of promotion. But what I wouldn't advise you to do, that is, do not do this. Don't write down every single platform because you will not be able to do all of them well. And it's way more important to do one platform well than it is to be present on 3, 4, 5 platforms. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right.
It takes a lot of time for even one platform. You only have a certain amount of time available. So yeah, definitely.
That's all you have to do for now if you're riding along with us, but it just
Mhm.
gets you thinking about it. The last thing that I want to say about this is I want to go back to the product or the service. And I find that a lot of new astrologers, there's imposter syndrome that kicks in. We already have a video. You can go watch that to learn more about it. But what I found is there's hesitation in actually having a service with a price tag on it. And I'm really pushing for you to do that early on. Because if you're out there with your beautiful website and you're out on a platform promoting yourself and you don't have something for people to buy, what are you doing? Are you running a business or are you just there for fun? So I really, really want you to write down a product. What can you sell? What can you sell today or tomorrow? If somebody were to say, hey, I like what you wrote, or I like what I saw, I'd like for you to do this for me, what is it going to be? Because
Mhm.
if you don't have that, you're going to be spending a lot of time doing all this promotion for what? If they don't have somewhere to go and say, hey, I want to sign up and be your client.
I love that. And the universe will push you to do it too.
Yes, it will. Okay, so we're going to talk to you about 2 different stages of business to help you understand the best places to focus as you're writing your marketing plan. So the first stage of business is if you're new in business. Either you're pre-launch or you just launched, or maybe you launched in the past, but you haven't really put a lot of energy into building your business. You would be at what we would call the launching or the emerging stage of business. And your marketing needs to be focused on where you are right now. This is really important because if you're looking at successful astrologers and what they're doing, and then you try to mimic them, you're unlikely to be successful. They're at a different stage and phase of their business. Their tactics and their strategies are going to be based on where they are. They already have a list of people, they already have clients, so they can market differently. But if you're emerging, you're just launching, or you have launched and you don't have a lot of business yet, then you want to definitely work on strategies that are more aligned to where you are right now. These are some guidelines. They're not rigid, but we wanted to give you just some example of the ballpark so you know where you are. So you would be launching or emerging if you are seeing between 0 and 4 clients a month. Many of you may be watching this because you want to start your business and you're not seeing clients yet. But maybe you are seeing clients, but you're only seeing a handful a month. And you're not really engaging yet. You're not doing a promotion plan and you're not working on positioning in the marketplace yet. We will get to positioning later in this video. So if this is you, here's some of the best strategies for you to use to launch and grow your business. The first thing is website. Website is way more important than social media right now. You have to have your store, and your storefront is your website, unless you have an actual storefront. But even if you have a physical location, I still recommend an optimized website. What is optimized? It means using the maximum amount of features needed for what your website is doing for your client. And some of the things that you want to get set up on your website is your services, which we just talked about. What is that thing that you can put a price tag on and you can sell to your clients? You want to have that on your website, your services, and you want to have that in your navigation bar. You want to have an email subscribe form. You want to be able to contact people that are interested in your services, and you want to keep track of the clients that are already your clients. You can put a form on your website and you can collect that email address, and even better, give away something for free that your ideal client wants, because that's how you get them to exchange their email address for whatever you're giving away. So offer something free, you have a form, and there's a technical process that goes around that, and that's beyond the scope of our video today. But there are lots of good platforms out there. One that I recommend is MailerLite, because it's easy to use and you can use it for free for quite a while before you have to pay. So you can get an account, and then you can set up a form and you can put it on your website. And when people offer you their personal private email address, it just automatically goes into your email list, and then you can start communicating with them. The next focus area that I would recommend is focus on one-on-one selling. This may sound like snail mail to you, but really, when you're just getting started out and you don't already have an email list, you are probably going to get more clients by talking to your friends and your family and any person in your vicinity who will listen to you about what you do. If you expect to go on Facebook and make posts and that those people are going to magically become your clients, I think you might be disappointed. Now, if you're already on Facebook and you already have like thousands and thousands of friends, that may be different. Everybody's situation is the same, but it's really difficult to get people into your funnel. We will talk more about a funnel later, but your funnel is like when they become part of your ecosystem. It's really hard to get people in your ecosystem when they don't know you. In the beginning, when you're just trying to get people on your list, you're just trying to get people to know who you are and your brand, go out and talk to people. Now, yes, you can do that online. You don't have to do that in person, but the point is that you're actually interacting with individuals and not expecting to get in front of a large group of people and to immediately convert them over. That takes time. So that's why if you're just emerging into your business, I recommend spending time talking to friends, family, anyone who will listen, and ask them to refer you. And then the people who you do have as a client, make sure you get testimonials from them, because these things are important early on. One of the easiest ways to just get the wheels going, grease the wheels of your business, is to find all of the friends and acquaintances. So I'm saying friends, but you probably have a lot of acquaintances, people that you don't know well, but well enough to say, hey, I just started my new astrology practice and I'm looking to practice. Would you mind if I read your chart? You just start doing it, even if they're not paying you yet. Just start doing it. Get into the habit of having clients every week. It's mindset. It's like, oh yeah, I do have a client this week. It doesn't matter if they're paying right now. Get into that groove. And then when you do these readings, ask them for referrals. And those are the ones, as they're coming in, that will start paying. I mentioned platform earlier when we were talking about the 4 Ps. You definitely want to engage with people on a platform that you enjoy being on, maybe one that you're already on. But what's important is that you want to enjoy being there and your ideal client hangs out there. So that's where you want to concentrate your energy, is finding those right people and collaborate. So if you have friends that are astrologers, whatever kind of collaboration you can do it. Marie and I are collaborating right now, and this is great. We're having a really good time making this video series for you. So maybe you know other people. Maybe you're studying at Kepler College and you've developed friendships with some other students in the class. These are valuable resources because you're all going to go out and open your businesses, and maybe you do very different things. One of you opens or starts a YouTube channel, and one of you starts a podcast, and then you can be guests on each other's channel. Definitely just immerse yourself in the astrology world, join organizations, go to conferences, meet people. You never know where it's going to take
Mhm.
you. Marie, what would you like to add?
I find that referrals, networking, and of course, giving talks are the optimal way of actually getting clients to sign up. With networking, think about where your ideal client is and go to those particular groups if you haven't already. Whatever you're specializing in, find out where those people hang out. Even if you need to take a friend with you to a new meeting or a new group, do it. This is a grassroots effort for you. And referrals, you are always going to get clients from referrals. When you're looking for referrals, you can offer, say, a client who is coming to you, you can offer them a discount or savings for referring other people to you. And you'll be amazed how many referrals you get coming to you because you need a consistent stream of people coming into your business so that you can continue to grow. If you start doing this at the very beginning, then you're building good, solid practices, and you can expand on those practices as you grow and develop, which brings us to the next stage of your business, and that is growing and scaling your business. What we've done is we're looking at you having an active email list. Now, we put a number here of 250 plus on your email list. You may not have exactly that amount, maybe a little bit less, but your email list needs to be growing. When you're doing this, you're looking at referrals, you're looking at repeat business, you're looking at paid sessions, and you've got an active email list. You're having conversions. So you're able to have people come in to read your email list or talk to you, and they're actually turning into clients. What you want to do here is you want to focus on how many people are you actually converting. You want to look at the analytics. You want to look at the numbers basically and see how much effort you're putting in, how much money you're putting in, how many emails you're sending out to get clients. In these analytics and benchmarks, a lot of different programs such as Facebook and YouTube, they will tell you automatically what the analytics are. And you can tweak what it is you're doing to see what works and what doesn't work. The other thing that you want to do is with your emails, you want to make sure that you have autoresponders set up. We call it your welcome sequence. When someone signs up for your email list, of course, you've got your freebie there, but you want to send them a thank you for signing up. And that needs to be automatic. If you have an offering, that needs to be automatic with your email automation. The other thing is with growing and scaling your services, this is about your service expansion. With marketing, when you get people into your funnel and they're actually paying you, you want to start with a price that is low initially, and then you keep moving up with your price. For example, you may have a freebie that's going to be low. You're not going to charge for that. Maybe you have an offering then that costs just a little bit of money. Maybe you want people to sign up for your mid-month report from you, and you send them to Patreon to give you, say, $3 a month for that. That's low. As people are having face-to-face contact with you, one-on-one contact, those are high price points because they're sitting in front of you one-on-one. And that should be one of your highest price points. Maybe you have a program that you're offering that can be medium to high, but you want to start low and slowly moving people from one level with the price point to another level. At some point, you want to have different offerings so that people get comfortable. And it's about building your credibility, and it is helping people to trust you. A lot of times people won't come to you right away and say, I'm ready to give you $200 to do an astrology reading, but I haven't had any experience with you in the past. You've got to have something that is offered at a lower price point first, or at least that's my understanding and the way I've done it. Also, with your content development, when you have a blog or you have newsletters, you can repurpose that. You can take sections of your blog or your newsletter and you can repurpose it and maybe even do a video on the blog that you did a year ago. Make sure that some of that content is evergreen, meaning if you have people who are looking at your YouTube channel and you've got videos out there, make sure that it is information that can be used a year from now or 5 years from now. That's what we mean by evergreen. It never goes out of fashion, so to speak. You want to, of course, have community engagement. That's another focus when you are growing and scaling your business. For example, you are a member of Toastmasters or you're a member of other groups so that you are getting known out in the community. That is really great for positioning you in the community as an expert. The community gets to know you as an expert in a certain area. This is also when you want to have collaborations. As Lori talked about, both of us are leveraging our partnerships. We are working together, collaborating, and with this particular series, we're helping each other grow our businesses, and we're also helping Kepler College, and we're giving good information to you. This is a collaboration, so you want to look at that. You want to do more of what works and less of what doesn't, which means that what you're going to do is pay attention to the analytics and pay attention to what is actually working and be okay with letting go of what doesn't work or even tweaking what doesn't work. Maybe you have a wonderful idea, but you're putting it out in the marketplace in a way that isn't optimized. So you might want to tweak it. This is also where you can bring on extra help if you need it, like virtual assistants, graphics designers, people who can support you with growing. Because at some point, because you're a solopreneur, you really do need others on your team to support you and help you grow, because you will go crazy if you try to do everything yourself. You do not want to do that. When you are growing and you're scaling your business, this is when you want to look at bringing other independent contractors on your team. And I say independent contractors because you're not hiring them to work for you on a daily basis. It's on an as needed basis. What would you like to add to that, Lori?
The important takeaway is that how you go about promoting your business, growing your business, scaling your business has to do with where you are right now. So
Mm-hmm.
being able to compare and contrast two different stages can hopefully show you how there's a different focus. There's overlap, but also there's differences. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it would be good to share some examples of the service expansion just to give you some ideas. So for example, you may have one service and that's what's on your website right now. And you have an email list and it's growing and you're doing some content. You could have a new digital course. You could have a new package. So the idea is that you want to offer more, that maybe offer more than one thing. So for example, you could have the option to buy one session, a package of 3, or a package of 6. There you go, low, medium, high. Or you could have a different number of minutes. You could have a 30-minute. So like Marie was talking about, something that's a shorter amount of time, it's a lower price point. They can sign up and get to know you a little better. And then maybe like, okay, I want the full 90-minute treatment. So you could do like a 30-minute, a 60-minute, or a 90-minute. There's just different ways to lay that out. But if you're already to the point where you're scaling your business, you want to look at your product and see if there's room for you to grow. And look beyond your readings, your consultations, because you may be to the point where you feel like you want to write a class, or you want to start a YouTube channel and you want to get monetized. So it's like, how do you want to scale? That's a question to ask. Because we're talking about you actually writing your marketing plan, you're not going to probably fit perfectly into one or the other stage that we've shown you today. That's okay. You're not supposed to fit perfectly in. But what we're hoping is that you can see these 2 stages, and it will help you figure out what's next for you. So you may already have an email list, you may be seeing clients already, but maybe you don't have a website yet. So kind of going back to that first stage, it's like that should maybe be high priority on your list of things to do. So it just depends on where you are. Look at these 2 lists, and for this part of your marketing plan, what you want to capture is where are you right now. So you can even take these 2 different slides, and for each bullet point that we've mentioned, make a note of where you are right now. Where is there a gap? What isn't done that you want to get done because it fits into the bigger picture? So the next section that we're going to talk about today is to niche. And I hope that you know what that word means, but if you've never heard that word before, it means doing something that is very unique compared to the other people around. So you could have a niche like you do horary astrology, or you're an evolutionary astrologer. Maybe you focus on elections. Maybe you work with trauma. Or maybe you've combined 2 things together, like what Marie and I do. Marie is a life coach and an astrologer. I'm a marketing coach and I'm an astrologer. So think about what unique skills and training you have and how you can bring that into your astrology. Your niche may be only astrology related, or it can be a combination of skills that creates this unique service that nobody else is offering. Now, why would you niche? to niche or not to niche? That is the question. Probably the number one reason is because it's going to help you find your ideal client faster. There's this saying in marketing, and I've seen it attributed to multiple different people. If you're trying to attract everyone, you attract no one. If you're trying to market to everyone, you're marketing to no one, because the people who really are a good fit for your business, they don't hear it. They just hear want, want, want. They hear Charlie Brown. What they need to hear is their words coming to them through your messaging. And it has to solve a problem for them. It may not even be a problem they're aware that they have. It's your messaging that's letting them know that you have something and they need it. So you want a niche to find your ideal clients faster, and then you'll become known for that. So they'll have reason to tell all of their friends. You solve a specific problem, and you have to decide what that is. You'll do that when you're developing your messaging, and your messaging has to be very clear. So that is why you want a niche and what niching is. So then the next thing is, what if I don't want a niche and I want to be a generalist? There are some good reasons why you might want to be a generalist, and we wanted to point them out. If you already have a client base and your schedule is full, then why change? If you already have your client base and it's working, then there's no need to change. Now that applies to astrologers who've been doing this for quite a while. They're the ones that we're learning from. They're the teachers, the faculty members, the ones who've written books, and we all probably know their names. But if you're new and you don't already have a client base that's booked up your calendar for the next 3 to 5 months, you might want to think about niching, because it's going to be very hard for you to stand out amongst the crowd if you're trying to be everything to everyone. Yes, you can do that if you're a very well-known astrologer, but if you want to build your business in a faster pace, then niche. Another reason why you might want to be a generalist is if you're doing this for fun. Maybe you don't need the money. Maybe you're not going into astrology as your career that's going to pay rent or the mortgage or food or tuition or whatever it is that you want to spend your monthly income on. If you don't need astrology for that, then you can be a generalist. You can do whatever you want because you're not really looking to make revenue. And then the last thing is you may not exactly know what you want to niche in. And in that case, if you want to kind of dip your toes in and go out and be a generalist astrologer while you figure that out, then go ahead and do that. But the sooner you realize what you enjoy, then the faster it's going to be for you to find your ideal client. And I think that there's a lot of astrologers who aren't necessarily sure yet. So practice doing electional astrology for a group of multiple people, because thinking that you want a niche and knowing that you want a niche, they're not the same. So I highly advise you to test things out. If you think you want to do elections, go do a bunch of elections. If you find you love doing that work, then you found your niche. But if you are doing it and you're like, oh, it was not as fun as I thought it would be, go try something else. And when you find that thing, and you'll know what it is, because it's going to bring you satisfaction, it's going to activate your Venus, and it's going to make you passionate. That owner passion is going to come out, and you're going to be like, I want to do more of that. So that's what you're looking for. So we don't really think that you should stay a generalist, but you can be a generalist and do different things while you're trying to figure out what it is that really drives your owner passion. Marie, what would you like to add?
With niching, what's interesting is sometimes your niche is staring you in the face and you don't see it because you might not think that what you're doing is worthy of being a niche. Pay attention. You can always talk to people around you to help you figure out your niche, because your friends, your family, a lot of times they know what it is that you are doing well, and they can tell you, oh, well, this is what you're doing. For example, I'm a life coach and working with people who have had trauma. Well, it took me a while to figure that out. And it took talking to friends and stuff. Well, yeah, whenever I have a problem, I come to you. It's like, oh, okay. So think about what it is that comes naturally to you, who you actually serve. And the narrower the niche, the more specific you can be with your marketing. That is all I wanted to add about niche. The aim of marketing is to know and understand the customer so well that the product or service fits them and sells itself. This is by Peter Drucker. It's one of those first lessons. You really don't have to sell. The product will sell itself if you have what the person wants. So, yes, which brings us to the ideal client, which is the problem and your solution. You've got to know the problem that you're resolving for your ideal client. First of all, think of clients that you enjoyed working with. What were the problems that they had? How did you work with them? How did you help them resolve their problems? This is going to inform you as to the type of person that you want to work with. And you want to have people who actually resonate with the service that you're offering or you're calling. This goes to not having to sell. If the client resonates with your service, and you also need to resonate with your service, of course, but if the client resonates with your service, they're going to just beat a path to your door and they're going to refer other people to you. So you want to understand the benefits that the client is seeking. It's interesting because I had someone ask me a couple of years ago, reading from me and saw the value, and they said, "Oh my goodness, you could offer a yearly you could offer a package where people come to you for a year and you could charge this much money." I'm like, what? I didn't see. Somebody else had to point out the benefit of what it was I actually was providing for people. And the question was, how much is it worth for someone to resolve a problem that they've had for years? That is a true benefit. And so you have to understand the benefit that you're offering or that you're bringing to the client. You are solving problems for them. And you may be solving problems that your client isn't even aware of. And that comes to marketing. You know what the problem is, but the way you state it in your marketing brings it to the awareness of the potential ideal client. And this goes back to creating content. We always say you want to have one person in mind. And as an actor, when I am going to do a monologue or do anything, I have one person in front of me who I am talking to. With your ideal client, you want to focus on one person in mind and help see what their issues are. And you want to create your content with that person in mind. Maybe it's somebody who you've actually worked with before, and they are your ideal client. Put them in front of you when you're creating your content, because that content is going to resonate with more than just that person, but with everybody. Because when people are reading or watching your blogs or listening to your blogs, they are looking at what's in it for me. And if you're creating content, it's going to be much more engaging if you are looking at it with one person in mind versus a whole group of people. You also want to pay attention to the language that your ideal client uses. If you're not aware of that language, make sure that you start going to places where your ideal client visits. And it could be online with groups. You can read others' blogs where your ideal client is, but you want to use their language because it's less effort for them. You don't want your ideal client to have to work mentally to see you as a problem solver for them. If you are dealing with college students or you're dealing with mothers, you want to use their language. You want to also focus on who they are, what problems they have, their frustrations, what is their personality, basically their characteristics. Their characteristics, if you focus on that, it's going to be easier for you to be trusted, and it's going to be easier for them to work with you, because people only work with people who they resonate with. So if you're looking at their characteristics, their personality, their problems, it's going to help you with your marketing. You also want to look at their lifestyle. Are they the jet set? Are they blue collar worker? What values do they have? What activities and interests do they have? What are their opinions, their belief system? All that's going to go into how you are marketing, because this is about persuasion. And it's easier to persuade when you structure your marketing to your ideal client's lifestyle and their personality, because they're going to see you as one of them. That's what you want.
Yeah, it's so important to know who your ideal client is. It's going to help you a lot with writing your messaging
Mm-hmm.
and for developing the content that you make. There is a difference between content writing and messaging writing that you do in your, but when it comes to your ideal client, listen to what they say. First, you have to think of somebody that you know that really fits that mold. Maybe it's clients, but if you're just starting out, you may not have any clients. But maybe you have a friend or a family member or an acquaintance, somebody who loves astrology, and they seem to be a good fit for your service. And hopefully you're doing some practice readings on other people. And through that process, if there's a particular person who just you loved working with them, you're like, oh, if I could just get another 50 of them, I'd be so happy. See if you can talk to that person, ask them for 30 minutes of their time, and
Mhm.
have them tell you how your service impacted them. Because the way that people talk is not the way that we see a lot of business writing. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to use their words. You're not trying to sound like an expert or a professional, although you have expertise and you are a professional, you still want to use the language that's going to resonate with your ideal clients. So that's what you're trying to get out of them. And you're going to take that information that you gather from them, and then you can use that as you write to your clients or to your email list. For example, I could say that marketing plans help you stay on track. Okay. Or you could say, I'm tired of feeling like your marketing is falling into the black abyss. So anyway, I'm just pulling that out of my head, and that's may not be the right words, but this is more how people talk, right? If you're just hanging out with your friend and they're like, oh my gosh, I wrote this email and it just went into the abyss. Like nobody opened it, nobody read it. That's real. That's how somebody is probably going to talk. And if you're with the same person, are they going to use the more business professional language and say, I wish I could get my marketing plan to be more on track? What you're trying to do is use more of the language that somebody actually uses and not some sort of kind of stiff business writing type of language. That's important. And the best way to get it is to talk to people who already fit that concept of an ideal client. They may be a client, they may be a friend, but you're trying to get this information. It's not a one and done kind of thing. So you'll do that, you'll get out there, you'll get more clients, you'll build and scale your business, and then you'll do it again and you'll hear more. You'll get testimonials. You'll hear people at the end of the session saying things to you. Write them down when you hear them, because that's going to feed into the messaging that you want to use when you're going to write to them in an email. That's what you want to do right now. You want to write down in your marketing plan what you think your niche is or where you are in the stage of niching. And then you want to write down some things about who you think your ideal client is. There's a lot of information out there on ideal client, and it's not within the scope of this video to go into detail on how to do more with identifying your ideal client. We do cover that in our classes. And Marie, do you talk about that in your life coaching
I
class?
do. I talk about that in the fundamentals of life coaching for astrologers class. The ideal client is paramount. You must know who that ideal client is for your
Yes,
marketing. Yeah.
you do. I also cover it in marketing for astrologers. So if you're listening to this video and you're like, wow, that really sounds like it could help me in my business, then please take the class, because we go into
Mhm.
detail on that as well in marketing for astrologers. Now we're going to get into the branding persona. And branding is very important for your business. And in case you didn't know this, if you are in business, you have a brand. Actually, even if you're not in business these days, you have a brand. If you're online, if you're on social media, there's some sort of brand that has been applied to you. So it's really important that you take control over your brand in your brand persona. What is a brand? A brand is the tone, feel, voice, sound, mood, vibe. All of these things make up your brand. It touches the five senses, and it can also include your tagline. Once people get familiar with your tagline and they associate it with your brand, it's part of your branding persona. If you're not sure what I mean by that, do you recognize this? You deserve a break today at McDonald's. Or how about this one? Just do it. So anyway, you can develop a tagline for your business and it will eventually get associated with your brand. You really want to be proactive about your branding, or it will be done for you. And what does that mean? Well, there was a very wise marketer. I want to say it's Jeff Bezos. I think I'm right, but those of you watching, you can check me on that. He says something like, branding is what people say about you when you are not in the room. When you leave the room, what are people saying about you? Now, that's just one way to look at it. There's lots of ways to define branding. And what we're going to talk about today are the important things that you need to know about your brand. The first thing that we want to talk about is you are the brand. When you're a solopreneur, you are the brand. You are the product, right? Because what you are selling, what you're offering are your services. It's very personal. So we are talking in our videos about astrology practices. We're talking about solopreneurship, small businesses. We're not talking about corporations. Most of the things that we have to share with you in this series may not be applicable to a big business. This is specifically for you, the astrologer, or you, the solopreneur. So in those cases, you are the brand. And most of the time, it's a good idea to use your name in the brand because you are out there networking and getting to be well known. And having a name different than your own can get confusing, or it can actually take longer for people to get to know who you are because they're hearing a name that's not your name. So they're like a step away from your brand. I know that there are situations where it is better to use a company name than your own name. And I'm going to let Marie share that with you after I finish talking about branding in general, because I know that Marie has some ideas about that. Now, about branding, it is very important to be consistent. And you want to be consistent across all of your platforms, all of your social media, your email marketing, your website, anything you print, if you print business cards, if you take out any type of advertising, they all need to be consistent. Doesn't have to be exactly the same, but consistent. Because on one ad, you might be highlighting one service, and then on another platform, you're highlighting your latest video. The point is different things get shared through different mediums, but the way that your brand looks, the way that it sounds, the way that it feels, that all should be consistent. They shouldn't see pinks on one site and then see a completely different color set on a different site. They shouldn't hear friendly but professional on one site and then on another site very stiff and conservative, right? So whatever it is that you're going to define as your brand, it should be consistent. So it's really important that you think about that in advance. You know, what does my brand sound like? Also, when you define those things, it's really easy to bring people on your team and they understand what to do. If you bring on a graphic designer or somebody's helping you with your email, somebody's designing your website, they need to know what your brand persona is. It's maybe easier to think of colors in a logo, which are definitely part of branding, but some of the other things that can make it a lot easier, a lot faster for people to get your brand is if you start giving more. For example, at Kepler, I like to say that we are professional, we're educational, we're inspirational, we're also friendly, and we're inclusive. Like we like to bring people in. So knowing those things, when we bring in a freelancer or a designer, it's like this is the feel that our website should have, or this is the feel that our email should have. So you want to be able to explain to anyone the tone, the voice tone, the pace, the sound, the mood, because that's really important for people to understand how to help you. And it's important for your clients because they're going to be attracted to that part of you. My whole background here, it's real, it's not virtual, and it's part of my brand and my mood. And you can see that in my website, and you can see that in my emails. So think about that when you're developing your brand persona. It contributes to brand awareness, the consistency. If you're inconsistent, then people aren't even aware that it's your brand because they're seeing it in so many different ways, they're not associating it. We started this video talking about values. So your brand persona should definitely be in alignment with what your values are. So you want to look at those and make sure that it's all coming together, it's all threaded together. In terms of branding a particular service within the broader brand, then you want to develop a hook. Hook is very important for your service. you're going to probably end up with multiple services under your brand. So your hook is specific to a service, but the hooks and the services should all be consistent in your branding. So if I see this service of a natal consultation, I see this service as a horary reading, I see this service as a forecast of the year ahead. 3 different services, they may each have their own design associated with it, but they're all going to be consistent with the branding persona, right? So different, but consistent within branding. The hook should be specific for the offer, but it should have the same tone. The words will be different, but they all have the same characteristics. If you think about your friends or your family, people you know, as soon as you talk to them, they have a particular way that you know it's them speaking. How many times are you like, oh yeah, that sounds like my mom, or oh yeah, that sounds like my friend. Oh yeah, they would say something like that, because that's their brand. That is their brand persona. Your business will have its own brand persona, and you want to take charge as to what that is. Because if you don't, then other people are going to come up with labels for it. And if you do, then whatever they're calling it is going to be consistent with what it is, because you're making sure that you're consistent and that the verbiage that tends to be used to describe that would be the same for anyone who is within that ecology. The other thing that you want to do as you're building your brand and you're building your business is to keep track of what these branding things are. You will forget. Some of it you'll remember, but you're not going to remember everything. And you're probably not going to remember hex codes. I've been using the same colors in my brand for 4 years. But if I had to tell you what the hex code was for that cranberry color, I don't remember. I have it written down. So anytime I need to make sure that that is the exact same color as the color in my palette, I can go and grab it. That's what branding guidelines are. It's a collection of information that keeps track of all of your branding nuances. It's where you say, this is what the fonts are that I use. These are the colors. This is the color palette. These are the codes for those colors. These are the adjectives that I use to describe my brand, so on and so on. It can get lengthy if you're Disney. We're not Disney. We can have branding guidelines that are like 2 pages and more, depending on how much you want to have there. And then for how do you do your branding persona? This is something that I do in my class. It's really exciting and it's fun. And that is to create a mood board for your brand. That is to simply grab images or designs that you're attracted to. In fact, visuals, that's where I start with the brand colors. You find pictures that you like and you make a vision board. So you've probably heard of a vision board. A mood board is a specific type of vision board. It's the type that you're developing specifically for your brand. And it's based on colors and mood. It brings not just the colors, but what are the pictures saying? Like, is it a serene, beautiful mountain and you happen to like the colors, and a mountain may be particular to you? You may have a lot of Saturn in your chart and you want to show that you are willing to put in the hard work. But maybe you're more of a healer type and you are attracted to some of the Buddha poses or some yoga pictures or whatever it is, fill in the blank. But when you're doing your mood board, you're looking at the colors and the actual image. And once you get this together, then you can upload it to a website that can create a color palette for you. And I'm going to give you one website that I use because it's free and it's pretty cool. So before I show you some mood boards, Marie, would you like to add something to that? I know I wanted you to
Sure.
talk about when not to use your name as the brand.
Make sure that you take fear out of this. You might have some fear around, oh my goodness, what mood do I want? How do I come up with this branding? And do your best to not drop into fear with this. And I'm saying this because when I first started, I worked with my web developer, because some people are really good with the technical part, with creating their own websites and with logos and all that. That's not me. I will hire someone to do these things for me. and I plan for that in my budget. Now, if you're going to hire someone like a graphics designer or web person, make sure that they are working together. And your web person, you want them to they may not be familiar with your business, but they should pay attention to what it is you want with your branding and the feel that you want to give. And what Lori is talking about with the mood board, that's going to be a great way to relay that information to the person who is developing your site or the person who is your graphics designer. And you do want to make sure that this color scheme is represented across the board and that your brand is represented across the board. When I write books, the color scheme is similar to my website, and it's that way for a reason because my books are usually related to what it is I do. Now, with the name, for the most part, as astrologers, using your personal name is going to be fine. I chose not to do that because when I first started out, I started out as a life coach. And for me, Padma Life Coaching is the umbrella that holds all of the different services that I offer, the astrology, the past life regression, the tarot, all of that is under one umbrella. I wanted a separate name. The other thing is, if you think that you may bring on other astrologers to work for you, it's going to be easier if you have a business name that is separate from yours. You want, so that the other astrologer is saying, oh, I work for such and such a company versus the person's name. If you think that you may sell your business, then it's easier a lot of times to sell a business that doesn't have your specific name. It's not that you can't do it. For example, Mary Kay Cosmetics. It is her name, and that is branded. They know who it is. At the same time, you look at, say, Elon Musk. Elon Musk doesn't have any businesses with his name. Ford Motor Company, yes, he used his name, but he only used his last name. There are times when you want to brand using another name. Make sure, though, with the name that it is short enough to be easy to type in a search engine because you don't want a long drawn out brand that someone has to type in a search engine because they can misspell it or not want to type it in. So you want to make it as easy as possible. Just think about what it is you want for your business long term when you're branding. It is going to be more challenging to get name recognition when you don't use your name because you're going out to conferences and you're talking to people and they know you as your name, but they don't know you as the business name.
I think also that if you are going to use a name other than your own name, I would still go by the domain name if you can. Like I can't because somebody else already owns my name. If you are going to provide services where you are the vehicle, you're the person one-to-one with that person, or you're working with groups, then you are going to get known by your name. So you might want to just get that website and you can use it if you wanted to have a special kind of service, like if for speaking or conferences or things like that. And then you have another company that has a company name, maybe you have people working for you, then still get your name because you can always redirect that. And you don't want somebody else getting that name because then you can't use it. So I would recommend getting your name earlier than later. And if you don't want to use it, at least you own it and you can still do something with that website or not. You can just leave it parked and nobody else can get it. We're going to show you some examples of mood boards. I'm really excited to show this to you. Here's the first one, and it includes the color palette. Now you can see most of these images, they look like they go together. You can see the oranges and the yellows are very muted tones or neutral tones. And there's actually two color palettes here, just so you can see an example of two. One of them is on the right side, and it's got the navy blue, white, and then like a couple of azure and a sky blue, so a couple of blues. And then you have the really long strip that's horizontal and it has numbers on it. You can generate these types of palettes at Coolors. The link is there below, COOLORS.co. You can go to that website, you can upload a picture to their photo generator, I think that's what it's called, and it will create a color palette for you. I also wanted to point out that there are two pictures in here that don't belong. Do you see them? Do you see how they don't really fit? You don't want to do that. So I wanted to show you a good way to do it and then a way that's like, oh, that doesn't quite fit. And if you haven't identified it yet, it is this one. The one on the left, the middle one, it's got some pinks and it just doesn't seem to fit in, I think, with the other ones. And then the second one is the color spectrum wheel that you can see at the bottom, the second one from the left. Now, if we go to this next slide, this is an example of just a palette. And it was based on the image that's behind it. And I use that image on my website as part of my header. And this color palette is my color palette. And this is the website again. If you wanted to go and generate your own, it will download this exact type of image with the numbers on it. So you could add that to your branding guidelines. And just for the fun of it, here's another mood board. This is just a marketing mood board that I made, and it has marketing stuff on there. And then you can see the color palette that I generated based on these visual images. Where did I do this? I did it in Canva. And in Canva, you can download one image or you can download this whole thing. I downloaded the whole thing as one image and I uploaded it to Coolors and it generated the palette for me. And it doesn't just generate one, it generates a bunch of them. And you can just kind of slide across with the slider, see which one you like, and you can literally download the image and pop this into your branding guidelines. So that would be what you do now in this section of the marketing plan. And this is the last mood board that I'm sharing. This is my personal mood board. And I did make this based on my brand colors, and all these were images that I was attracted to. And I usually take my mood board, I have more than one, and I pop it in my screensaver so I can look at it all the time. I do vision boards and mood boards so I can change them out and switch them up. It's really fun. And you can do this on Canva. You can get a free version of Canva if you don't want to pay for the pro version, and you can get access to many, many visuals, and you can go make this. So that is your next assignment for your marketing plan. It's go make your mood board.
If you don't give the market the story to talk about, they'll define your brand story for you. And this is where conspiracies come in. Because if you don't define what your story is or what you want people to talk about concerning you, they'll make it up. And you don't want that. So this is by David Breyer. So next, of course, we talk about your storefront, which is your website. And your website is always open 24/7. With your website, there's some things that you want to consider when you're creating your website. You want to make sure that it is optimized for the search engine. So you're using keywords. You've got lots of content on there so that when people are Googling, they may put in a particular word, and your website, if it has that wording in it or that phrasing in it, your website will pop up. You also want to do what you can to continually content on your website so that your website comes up in hopefully that on that first page when people are Googling. A lot of times, and I'm sure you've probably had this experience where you Google something because you're looking for service, and a lot of times you don't go past that first page. I look at usually the first few websites that pop up, And that's as far as I go. So you want to make sure that you keep putting consistent content out there so that the search engine can find you and keep pulling you up, on the search engine. You also want to look at the user experience with your website. You want to make sure that the design you use, the load times for people being able to load pages, you want it to be as easy as possible. They don't have a lot of attention. Their attention span is not long. You want to make sure that it's really easy for the person who is looking at your website to go from one page to the other. You want to have sign up here on each page. You don't want them to have to scroll all the way down. A link, make sure that you put the link in several different spots. You just want to make it as easy as possible. With your content, you want to make sure, of course, as we've talked about, that your logo is consistent, your branding is consistent, the images are attractive and clear contact information. I can't tell you how many times I've searched for contact information on a website and given up because I've not been able to find it. It's like, sorry, I'm just not going to do business with you because it's too difficult to find the contact information. The images need to be attractive. What's attractive to you may not be attractive to your client. So this is where knowing your ideal client comes in, because you're looking to make sure that your website is client focused and not you. You might love an image, you might think it works great for you, but figure out if it's going to work great for your client. Because what you're looking at here also with the navigation is the user experience. The menus need to be clear. Because of social media and because of attention spans, people are using pictures more. So you want to look at that. You want to make sure that you have offerings there, you have free resources so that people can get into your funnel. You want to build you trust. With trust, it's interesting because we all have testimonials on our websites, and it's important to have it. People pay attention to the experiences that other people say they've had with you. So always have that on your website. You want to make sure that your contact info is prominently displayed. You want to make sure that your key information, your call to action, is visible for people because people won't go searching for it. It has to be there. We are planning another video on developing and maintaining your website because the website, just like promotion, is a big topic. And we're not able to go into that in detail with this particular video. But the website, it is your brand. It is how people are going to find out who you are. I have found that people go to my website to check me out before they even contact me. And if that website, if it's not easy to navigate, if they don't feel a sense of warmth, a sense of trust, if the content isn't there that they're looking for, they'll go somewhere else. So the website is so important. Lori, what would you like to add to that?
I wanted to comment on where it says above the fold. I think it's from the newspapers. It's definitely an old print term. No, it's newspaper because newspapers are folded. So above the fold is like what you see. Like if you're going to the newsstand and you're going to pick up the newspaper based on what's above the fold, what can they see? So now we have the same term applied to our websites. And above the fold is what do people see on their screen before they have to scroll down? Some people don't scroll. They don't even think to
Yeah.
scroll, right? So what you want to pay attention to is that prime real estate. Somebody goes to your website and any other page that they can click on, what is above the fold? Do you have the most important information above the fold? So I just wanted to touch on that.
Yes, yes.
There are many things that you should have on your website, and then there's things that are nice to have. And it's really important that you know what those things are that are must have. For example, You want to have a service, you want to have an offering that people can buy, and you want to have your contact form that Marie's talked about. On a contact form, I recommend that you make a form actually on your website. Now, you may not be able to do this just yet if you're just kind of getting your business together, but have it on a list of things to do when you're growing and scaling, because a contact form keeps it within the ecology. And in case you haven't noticed, email deliverability has gone down in the process of trying to filter out spam mail. A lot of good emails either get directed to a spam box or they don't get delivered at all. And if you use a contact form and it's within the ecology of whatever platform you're using, like if you use WordPress or Wix, I don't use Squarespace, but I'm guessing that they probably have a similar ecology where the contact form, it's all happening within that platform, and that platform is going to let you know that you got an email, but the exchange is happening within the platform and nothing gets lost. So that's kind of an easy way to have that contact form set up where it's not going to your email and then, do you email them back directly or do you go back into your site? So I really like the idea of using a contact form within your website. And then there's the legal forms. And I know we're going to make a video, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it is worth mentioning that there are some legal requirements that you are obligated to have and you don't want to forget. Privacy policy is the one that comes to mind. You definitely have to have one if you're collecting email addresses. It's not optional. You have to have it. Then there are other things that you may want to have just to protect yourself. Like if you do medical astrology, you probably want to have a disclaimer page on your website. So anyway, we will go into more detail, but I thought those were a couple things to mention. Content and AI and SEO, because we're talking about search engine optimization and your website is found through a Google search. Usually Google has a large share of the market, over 90%. And that's why everybody looks at Google. But AI is trying to move in on that. And you'd have to be aware of this. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. But what we do know is that there's already one AI platform that claims to source their perplexity. But we also know that ChatGPT is already beta testing their own search protocol. That means that how people search on the internet is probably going to change drastically over the next few years, but we don't know. But it's important that you know that because you want to be found, and whether it's Google finding you or an AI platform finding you, how you design your website, how easy it is to navigate through your website to find information, and how well your page talks about information as compared to the title of the page and the headlines that you use, because there's formatting that goes into your website page design. That's all going to become important. It is in your best interest to be aware of these things so that as everything evolves with AI, that you are like in the game, that you're not in the sidelines, kind of like, for one, there's a lot of people that are like, I don't talk to me about AI. That's your decision. It is likely, though, that the face of searching on the internet is going to change, and it's going to change because of AI. So I would advise you, even if you don't want to use it and you don't like it, to at least be aware of what's going on so that you optimize your website in the best way. And it can end up being helpful, because if AI is cutting through, really just trying to find you what you want, and it finds your answer and gives you the source, and it gets you there quicker than having to look at a page of Google sponsored ads where they're bringing up Cosmopolitan or Elle, who in the last few years has taken over the Google
Yeah.
search engine, the responses that come up. And the astrologers that used to come up first have now been pushed down.
Yeah.
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 So there is some desire, perhaps, to have AI do a better job of that. That if it can find an article that you wrote that is real astrology, that really can demonstrate that you know what you're talking about, above and beyond a Cosmopolitan magazine article, then that's good. You want to be found. So anyway, we don't really know what is going to happen, but we know what is happening now. And I do know that ChatGPT has a search engine model that's being beta tested right now. I'm in line, I'm on the wait list to check it out myself. If any of you watching have been able to get on that beta test, please put a comment below and let us know how that is working out for you. Okay, so now let's move on to website versus social media. This is something that comes up in my class quite often, or even amongst friends or people just in conversation. And I think it's really important to talk about the difference. They both can be a storefront for you, but really it's your website that is the storefront, unless you are going all in with social e-commerce. But I think most people are not selling their services only on Facebook or only on one of the social media platforms.
Mm.
It's very dangerous if you choose to do that, because if something were to happen and they take away your account, you have lost everything and you do not have those people's email addresses. So that is the really important difference between these two platforms. On your website, where you would be collecting emails, you own those emails, you own that list, and it cannot be taken away from you in most situations. And if it's social media, you do not have their email addresses, and your site can be taken down at any time and not given back to you. So it is highly risky. I've seen a few astrology channels where it's happened, and I'm not going to name names, but I have been on somebody's list, actually two different lists, where they emailed and said, my YouTube channel was shut down and we don't know why, but we can't get it back. And they literally had to start all over from scratch. And Facebook is notorious for shutting down pages. Sometimes it's just Facebook jail and you get out of jail and you get your account back. And then other times you don't. So it is somewhat risky if you're putting all of your contact in social media. I highly recommend that you use your website for that. So both website and social media are open 24/7, but really they have different purposes. The website is your home. It's where you live, it's where you do your sales, it's where you share your information. If you have a blog, it's housed there. Social media is how you interact with people. It's the where you get people into your funnel. It's like the very top, it's the opening of the funnel. And social media is one of the ways of trying to get people into your own ecosystem. Website, it has the navigation of whatever you want it to be. Social media doesn't. You're kind of locked into however they set up their platform. And then when we look over at social media, you are also engaging with your ideal client, but usually in smaller tidbits of information. So your long form would go on your website or your YouTube channel, which, by the way, is a search engine first and a social platform second. You're going to use your social media to try to get people to come into your website or into your ecosystem, which is usually offering something to your people for free so that they click over to your website. The problem is that social media platforms don't tend to want anyone to leave their ecosystem. So the most useful thing that you're going to get out of social media is engaging with your ideal client. You're going to get brand awareness. You're going to be more top of mind if you show up regularly. You're putting things out there. People are responding and you're having some back and forth. If you can actually get them to leave the platform and over to your website, yay, good for you, because that is not an easy thing to do. So you're using your social media more to engage and interact and be top of mind. When it comes to what social media to be on, it should be something that you love to do, you enjoy doing, because it can get tedious. It's a job. You're running your own business. It's a job. So pick one or two that you really like. But here's the thing with social media. After you've been on it for a while, you should have some analytics to look at. You want to know if any of it's actually working. Are people converting? It doesn't matter if you have 10,000 likes, if not one of those people end up on your email list or not one of them end up being a client. And this is where people get tripped up quite often, as they're putting all this time and energy into social media and they're not getting anything out of it. And they don't even know that they're not getting anything out of it, because it's hard. It's hard to get people to click over to your website. Now, it still could be doing the brand awareness, it still has that engagement, and all those things can be good for your brand, but may not be converting. It's very difficult to know. And I'm just saying, we know we have to be there. We know we have to engage. We know how we have to have some way to be out in the world, in the marketing world, and to find people and bring them back to our brand. And when we're doing that, we're bringing them back to our website. So you really want your website to be as optimized as possible. That is using all of the features that you have to their best ability in order to help your client. That doesn't mean do every bell and whistle, every feature. It means using the ones that are most important for your website. What's going to get the job done for you? They have different goals. It's your website that is usually trying to get people to actually invest in something, whether it's investing in your email list by giving you their email address and getting something free in return, or it's getting them to schedule a consultation with you and become a paid client. Social media, the purpose of that is for brand awareness. So people start seeing you, they start to hear about what you're talking about, they know if they resonate with you, and hopefully, eventually, at some point, you'll get them to jump over to your email list. And usually you're doing that by telling them what that free offering is that's over there on your website. They may or they may not click at that moment, but if you're showing up regularly, then at some point after they've seen your face 15 times, they might be like, yeah, I might want to go over and get that free thing. So there's different purposes. There's a bit of overlap. I believe that the website is a must have. And I think social media is a probably should have. Not everybody likes social media, and there are other ways to get people into your funnel. You don't have to do social media. Most people think that they have to, and then they sign up for multiple platforms, and then they get themselves into a mess trying to keep up with it. And then they don't. And when you're inconsistent, it's doing nothing for you. You're wasting your time. So with social media, pick one, show up frequently, consistently, regularly, and do that one well. Don't try to show up on two. If you want to be on more than one and you're having regular clients, repeat business, then carve out some of your income and hire a social media manager. That's a really great strategy for your marketing. Marie, what would you like to add?
I know a couple of astrologers who have never been on social media and they're doing quite well. Now, they're older astrologers, but they built their business grassroots and they're doing referrals and people, know how to find them. One of the things that you can do with social media to increase engagement is to have a group or even go into other groups. But if you have a topic or something that you want to talk about on a consistent basis, you can have people come into your group because you want to increase the engagement. And that is one of the ways that you can do that, and also increase the likelihood that people will go to your website to sign up for your email list, because you really do need this. Now, your social media platform can go away is through hacking. And that has happened. I had that happen to me, and I was able to actually get my page back. But it was that Gemini quick thinking and quick acting on my part that did it. If your platform is hacked, you're going to have to just let it go. And so all those videos you put up there, all the content, all of that is gone. That's why you definitely have to have a website with content on it. So the next thing is with your content. Your content really does need to be engaging. And what do we mean by engaging? You've got your blog, of course, and these are your types of content creation. You want it to be evergreen for the most part. I mean, you can have time sensitive content, and you're always going to have that if you're going to be offering a service for a specific period of time. Then, of course, that's going to be timed information. Your YouTube channel is also another type. Podcasting, people, it's interesting with podcasts, that takes a lot of work. to do podcasts. And the podcasters, I don't have one, but I've talked to and been on other people's podcasts. That is a way of getting people to know who you are and also engaging with people. It's a wonderful tool. But remember, you really do need to be consistent too with this content creation. I want to throw that in there. Publication, meaning you might write articles for different astrological publications. That's a good way to get your name out there and to get content out. You have freebies, you have different reels. For example, Instagram, usually you have little short video reels that you're putting out and different posts on social media. So we've got the types, then there's the format. So are you going to be doing live content where you go on, the person is right there and who is doing a talk or, a short live, and you feel that you are a part of the audience. And that's a great way to create content. Recorded content is a little bit easier because if you make a mistake when you're recording, you can go back over it and redo it. There's audio, video, and written for the format. And you have to decide what is going to work best for you. Now, I believe in doing a combination of all three. There are some people who are quite visual. There's some people who are auditory. There are some people who read fast and some people who read slow. And so if you can take your content and put it in different formats, that same content, that's going to go a long way in reaching a wider audience. So the features, of course, we talked about the search engine optimization online, and you want to always have a call to action and make sure that the content is ideal client focused, as we have said. So the other thing is with the strategy here, we've got focus, repurposing, guest appearances and conferences, and linking. So to break that down, you want to make sure that your content is engagement focused with your contacts. You want to make sure that you're giving them information that they can use and that they may even comment on. You want to make sure that your content is aligned with your niche and also the services that you offer. You can also repurpose the content that you have. For example, if you have a YouTube channel and you are going to put a video up, you can take the transcript of that video and put it out on another platform. You can also break that video up into small little snippets, maybe a minute and a half or 3 minutes, and repurpose it, putting it on, say, Facebook or Instagram. There's many ways that you can do this, or even putting it in your email. And the other thing is going to conferences and giving talks. And also with conferences, usually they have brochures or they have ways to advertise. You can write content that is about your business and have it be put in the conference material. I know that there's usually flyers. When I go to NORWAC, there's a table where people have flyers and content that they've created that is out there on a table that can be taken. Guest appearances, so you can be a guest on someone else's podcast, which is ideal in my estimation because you're the guest and you get to go on and talk about a particular topic. And when you're going to be a guest, you're not really promoting yourself directly. You're giving information. You're helping people to solve their problem when you are a guest on someone else's podcast or their YouTube channel. That goes a long way into building your network of people who are in your funnel. You want to make sure that your website, your blogs, your social media all of that is connected up together. So on your website, you want to have an icon there for your social media, for your podcast, for your YouTube. If you're going to have people donate to you on Patreon, make sure that your Patreon link is there so people can look at it, and make sure that evergreen content can be referred to indefinitely, because as I said, with evergreen content, it is there in perpetuity as long as you own your business. If you've got content that is evergreen, you don't have to recreate it over and over again. So that will make your life a lot easier. It also will help you with the search engine optimization because you've got that content out there and the algorithms are going to pick it up. And as Lori talked about with AI, this will probably make it easier for AI to find your information and feed it to someone who is searching for it. So make sure that you have engaging content. The other thing with engaging content, if you're not sure of what you want to talk about or the article you want to write, look on the news, look at what is your ideal client talking about. There's so much going on in the news today. You can take a story, a news story, and write about it for your ideal client or do a video on it. You want to position yourself as the expert with your ideal client. You never know who is reading your material, who is watching your videos, and you could end up being asked to be a guest on a TV, maybe a news program or a TV program, or even somebody else's YouTube station because you have content that is pertinent to maybe what is going on right now. You have the solution to a particular problem. So these are ways to create content that is engaging.
I think this is a good time to go back to the niche, because when it comes to content creation, it's so important that your niche is
Mhm.
evident and present in the content that you're creating. This is going back to the consistency of your brand. You know, when we were talking about branding and consistency, we were talking about the mood and the feel and the tone and the colors and all that. But the niche is also part of that. And if you are focused on, let's say you are a horary astrologer, that's what you do, but then you're out and you're talking about something different that is not connecting for your ideal client, then it may not hurt you, but it's definitely not helping you. It's not helping you become the expert, like what Marie was saying. And if you want to get invited to speak at a conference, if you want to get invited on somebody else's YouTube channel or their podcast, they want somebody who can speak on a topic and has proven that they have some sort of expertise there. And how is that proven? By what you create in your content. Do you cover that all the time in your blog? Are you posting information on a social media platform? Are you making videos? Have you already designed a course? What are you producing that is supporting that niche? Because that is going to help you get invited to speak at a conference or to be a guest on somebody else's channel, because they want you to come talk about what people already know you talk about. And then there's the repurposing. I just wanted to add a couple of things on to repurposing. I wanted to give you an example, actually. In astrology, we often are faced with, do we do a horoscope or do I write about the evergreen stuff that I really like to talk about? And just from looking at YouTube statistics, more people watch horoscope types of content. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're converting over, because there's a lot of commercial astrology and it gets the really high number of views. So I'm not saying that you're going to need to go and write horoscopes, but you may want to write horoscopes because that's what people tend to read every month. They want their monthly horoscope or they want their weekly horoscope, and then it's timed. Once it's done, it's not evergreen and you can't repurpose that. But here's an example. Mercury went retrograde today, and maybe you wrote a blog article on Mercury retrograde, and maybe you're talking about this specific Mercury retrograde that went retrograde in Virgo and it's going to go back to Leo. But maybe you wrote a paragraph just on what is Mercury retrograde. That paragraph is evergreen. You can snippet that out. You can make a short, you can make a reel, you can write a Facebook post, you can do whatever you want. You can repurpose that material. So that's one example. There's also an evergreen article that you can write that's maybe a long form. Maybe it's a blog, and you want to get people to come read that blog. So maybe you take a snippet out and you put it on Instagram, or you put it on Facebook, or you make a reel, an Instagram reel. So you're taking small pieces and you're repurposing it in different ways. If you have email, which obviously we're suggesting that you do, then when you send out your email, you don't have to send the whole blog. You've probably seen this many, many times where you get part of the blog and then the button says, finish reading the blog, and you click on it and you go to the website. And then you get to the website, you read the blog, and maybe there's something that says, thanks for reading this. Do you want this free download? Well, sure, I'll take that. Let me give you my email address. And bam, now you've got somebody on your email list. So what we're suggesting is that you make it easy on yourself. If you write a long form blog, then repurpose it, use it, maybe make a video out of the blog. And you're not going to say it word for word, but at least you've already written it. So you don't have to start from scratch. So you can take that and turn it into a script. Or you can make a short out of something. Or, I think you see where we're going with this, and it will make it easier for you to create the amount of content that you want to create if you can take something and then reuse it in multiple places. Now, we wanted to go a little bit further about the content to show you the difference between content writing and copywriting, because there's two different types of writing because they have two different purposes. Content writing is you sharing your expertise, you're sharing your knowledge, and it can be your blog, your video, your podcast, your posts on Facebook. All of that's being written for your ideal client as a consumable piece of information. Like when you go to read the news, you're consuming content. When we're talking about copywriting, we're talking about when you're making that offer. I am offering you a natal consultation. So when you're explaining what that consultation is, you're not writing it for entertainment. You're writing it it's persuasive. It's to get people to do whatever your call to action is. You can have copywriting to get somebody to sign up for your email, right? Usually through a freebie, but there's copywriting involved in that because you're trying to get them to do something. You're trying to get them to click that button. So I want to go through this list here for you of these different meanings between content writing and copywriting. The first thing is, one is entertainment. Content writing is entertainment focused. Copywriting is persuasion focused. It's sales focused. Content writing is not focused on the call to action. It's focused on sharing the information, whereas copywriting is call to action focused. With content writing, it's an indirect or a soft sell because you've created this amazing content. So you're already soft selling because people are getting to know you and your brand by the information that you've shared with them for free as an expert sharing your knowledge. Copywriting is sales focused. It's specifically to get that person to sign up for your services. And if it's your ideal client, then it's not going to be that difficult because you are fulfilling a need. You are solving a problem. And that's why copywriting is all about the problem and the solution, and using the same words in your messaging that your ideal client would use. Your content writing is building a relationship. We have to have many, many, many touch points with somebody before they even think about giving us their email address. And then they probably have to receive quite a few emails before they decide that they're actually going to become your client. So your content writing is building that relationship with them, with the content, getting them in your funnel. And then once they're in the funnel, you're giving them even more content because now they're on your email list. They want to hear from you. They want to know what you know. They know that you have information that they don't, and they want to get that information from you. So you're building that relationship. The copywriting is all about that problem that you're solving. It's that persuasive writing. Your content writing is informative. You're giving them information. Copywriting is their language. You're taking that language from them because you're letting them know that, hey, I'm for you. And you know that I'm for you because we're speaking the same language. And by the way, it should be authentic. We are not suggesting that you are writing things that you don't believe or that aren't true. That's not what this is about. This is going under the assumption that you have a thought out, helpful service that you're offering, and it's specifically for that person that you know your service helps. So just to be clear on that, the content writing is to get people in your funnel and to keep them in your funnel, the ideal clients in your funnel. If you get somebody in your funnel and they're never going to be your client and there's not really like a resonance, then let them unsubscribe. You don't want them on your list. They're not the right person for you, and you're not the right person for them. So unsubscribe is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And you want people to unsubscribe if they're not warm to what you offer. Because if you have people sitting on your email list and they never open an email and they're just not gonna be your person, then they're taking up space on your list, because most of us pay for an email marketing service and you're paying by the number of subscribers you have. So if you have 1,000 subscribers and only 250 people are opening your email, which you can get through your analytics, you want to take a look at that other 750. And if they haven't opened an email that you've sent in the last 3 months or the last 6 months, then let them go free. You can remove them from your list. You can do that. They can do that, and you can do that. And if you are getting close to that number of where you have to pay more money, then you probably will want to prune your email list at some point. And I can't wait for you to have that problem. That's a good problem to have. Whenever you hit that, like MailerLite has 1,000 free, then you have to pay. So when you hit that 1,000 mark and you're like, okay, do I want to pay more, or do I want to just look and maybe delete the 300 people who haven't opened an email in the last 6 months? Then you can do that. And then what you'll have is a higher open rate. You'll have just a higher, everything will go up because now you have less people that aren't opening your things. Okay, so back to content writing, it's getting those people in your funnel and keeping the right people in it, but letting the wrong people out. But the copywriting, they're really in the funnel for your sales emails. And there is a difference between content emails and sales emails. Both of these types are about brand awareness. Now, whenever you are engaging with your people, there's a number that I like, and it's not rigid. It's definitely not rigid, but it's like a guideline that might help you, and that is 4 to 1. So for every 4 engagements that's content, that's entertaining, it's informative, then you want to have 1 sales pitch. So that 1 email that's like, here's my product, with that persuasive copywriting. I want you to CTA, call to action, buy now, book now, reserve your spot, join now to my class, register now to my class. Those are all CTAs. That's the persuasive. So 4 to 1. If you think about that now, if you go 10 to 1, no problem. And if you're doing a launch, if you have a timed launch, like I have a class that's starting next month, so I'm going to do a campaign over the next 6 weeks. It's all about that class. Now there will be content writing because I'm going to share some things about the class, but at some point I'm going to ask you to register for that class. That's your persuasive copywriting. So I hope that helps you see the difference and helps improve your writing, because you'll know, who am I writing for? What am I writing for? Am I writing for entertainment, for information, or am I writing copywriting for somebody to purchase my offer?
Yeah, the only thing that I would like to add, that I want to add to this, is it takes a little time to figure out the formula that works. Be okay with not getting the results that you seek right away. Just keep doing it. Don't give up. You will get that formula. You'll get it correct.
Keep on keeping
Okay.
on. Yes.
Absolutely. Don't never give up. That's my philosophy. So here we're moving into the 4 P's in action. Of course, we're here with positioning in the marketplace. And this is where your market research and your analytics are coming into play. So you definitely want to, as we've been talking about, look at the open rate, look at all of the analytics that are available to you with the different platforms that you're using. With the market research, if you can, you want to look at your competition, and that would be, in our case, other astrologers. What are they offering? Look at where there are gaps, where there are holes, what areas in astrology aren't being serviced. That may be an area that you want to focus on. It may not be. What you're trying to do here is differentiate yourself from your competitor. You want to have your own unique selling proposition. And if you can fill in a gap that is there, that's going to help you a lot more. You also make sure that you have something free that is downloadable. It can be as simple as a page. It could be a page of the signs and the meaning of the signs or the planets, or it could be both. And it could be downloadable. Maybe you have a chart wheel with the different meanings of the houses there, but something that is easy for your ideal client to download to get them into your funnel. With promotions, and we will talk about this more, less is more. You don't want to have these promotional channels all over the place. You want to focus on one or two. You also want to make sure that your messaging is consistent. And this has to do with your brand. Your clients, when they see you, when they see your promotions, they automatically know what your messaging is because you have built your brand. If you want to rebrand, that's something that is different, but you want to have just one brand. You also want to have a content calendar. If you're going to do something on a monthly basis or weekly basis, if you are going to create different types of content, for example, you're going to have a blog or you're going to have a YouTube, make sure you have a calendar there of what you're going to offer and when you're going to offer it and how often you're going to offer it. You need to have a compelling hook. This is a grabber, something that grabs the attention of the person who is, or your ideal client. And what we have here is you can use AI to help you. You can type in a hook that you can think of, and AI will tweak it for you. You want to make sure that, you've seen these titles on ads and they are engaging. They are grabbing the person's attention because you're trying to get to a problem that the person has and you've got the solution. And if someone thinks that you have the solution, they're going to listen to what it is you're offering. The other thing is writing a positioning statement. Now, this positioning statement is being written to your ideal client, and it is the service that you're offering, and the service needs to be unique, something that stands out and differentiates you from your competitor, and it needs to provide a specific solution. That is direct. That is something that it's clear. It can't be mistaken for something else. This is how you want to at least begin positioning yourself in the marketplace.
Thank you, Marie. The only thing that I wanted to say something about was the hook. Hooks are used by books all the time. Like if you were to look at the new releases from the New York Times or whatever, whenever they talk about the book, it's usually a couple of sentences and they're really strong hooks. So if you want to find some good examples, I would go look at upcoming book releases or books that have come out and just see if there's like a 2-sentence hook that you can get some ideas from. Marie's idea for using AI is a great idea. I know some people don't like to use AI, but it actually does a really good job. If you were to take your blog, for example, or if you have a script for a video and you pop it into AI and say, hey, can you make me a 2-sentence hook for this? And even give more information, like I'm going to use it on YouTube, or I'm going to use it as a blog, or I'm going to use it in a Facebook post. Tell it what you're going to use it for, and then let it produce a hook. If you don't like it, tell it to make another one. You can even tell it to make you 10, so you have choices. So that's what I would recommend that you do. And there's this thing about AI that lots of people are using it. And if you are not, to just know that it takes 5 seconds, maybe not even 5 seconds. Once you put your prompt in, it's immediate
Mm-hmm.
and it can save you a lot of time. It's not my place to say that you should or should not use AI. I was converted to use AI as soon as I heard in the marketing world that if you're not using AI, you're already falling behind. And I was like, what? I don't want to fall behind. I do use it, but with brevity. I use it for things like that, but I definitely don't use it to write my content. However,
Mm-hmm.
after I've written content, I might ask it to shorten my content
Mm-hmm.
or to rephrase a paragraph so that it's not AI writing it, it's me writing it, but it can help improve some of your content. So just a couple of things to think about. The key to successful positioning is understanding the mind of your consumer. It's from Al Reese, who I discovered wrote a whole book on positioning. So if you want to learn more, you can check out that book. We've been talking about funnels this whole video, and you may have been sitting there going, what the heck is a funnel? It's a funnel, just like what you have in your kitchen. And it does exactly what a funnel does. It has a wide rim at the top so it can capture lots of stuff, and then goes smaller, and then it ends up putting a very small amount at the bottom. And that's kind of how sales works, right? We cast our net wide and we get lots of people who are hopefully interested in what we're talking about through these different means, paid advertising, we can have ads, we can do YouTube, we can write articles, we can blog, we can network. There's so many ways. I'm sure that there's many other ways you can think of that aren't here on this slide, but you get the picture. That top of the funnel is where you're trying to get people into your ecosystem, your ecology, your environment, your world. And you may be 100% online. Your whole funnel can be digital. That's totally fine. Once you get them in there, the two main things that you're doing in your funnel is you're trying to get their email address so that you can correspond with them. And eventually you want them to come out the other end of the funnel as a client. And that's where the dollar sign is.
Yeah.
But it's a lot smaller at the bottom than it is at the top. There's that proportion of sales that you might have heard, that the 80-20. So, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
20% make it to the bottom, and the other 80%, they may love to consume your free stuff and stay on your list. That's okay, because probably someday they will come to you whenever they need an astrologer. But then you may have a bunch of people that are sitting on your email list, but they never open your email, as we talked about earlier. And those are the people that eventually you're probably going to prune out of your system. But the sales funnel is a pretty simple concept. It's about getting people in, and then the customer journey or the process as they're going down your funnel to becoming your client, and hopefully your repeat client, because it's much easier to get a client to return than it is to get a brand new client into your business. So once you get people in your funnel, and especially once they become a client, you want to make sure that you are making them happy. So you don't want to forget about your clients, like, oh, they've already paid me, I'm off looking for that new person.
Mm-hmm.
What you want to do is make them happy. And that's where your content marketing comes into place. You're doing all that content
Yeah.
marketing in your funnel, the blog that you wrote, the video that you made. This stuff is all very important to the people on your list. And that's why you do it for those people. The potential clients and your current clients, they're in your funnel. So that's what I have to say about a funnel. What would you like to add to that, Marie?
Yeah. If you're not in front of the client, they have forgotten about you. So you have to be consistent with it. And yeah, that's all I wanted to add. to that. So now we move on to email marketing, which is one of my favorite parts. With email marketing, it can't be taken away from you. It is you. You are the owner of it. You are creating it. It's coming from your particular email platform. Nobody can say anything about it other than if the ideal client chooses to open it or don't open it, you can't control that, but it's yours. With email marketing, you have to be in compliance with the different privacy laws. And that means you've got to have an unsubscribe notice on it. And usually with the email platform you use, there is a unsubscribe listed there and it works quite easily. You just need to make sure it's there. Your emails needs to be professional, the domain specific email address, and not a Gmail account or an Outlook account, because you want it to be as professional as possible. Now, there can be some issue with the emails going into other people's spam, especially if you don't have your specific name on the email. That's where you want to make sure that your email is the address is friendly, pretty much. So if you can use hello at or greetings at, that's going to be a little bit easier. With the people's spam folders, you can always put on your emails to have people add you to their emails that they are willing to receive. I've had people in the past say, oh my goodness, I didn't get your newsletter. And then when I said, well, but I sent it to you, and they check their spam folder, there it is. If you have a notice or something on your email saying, please add me to an acceptable email address, then they will receive it. You also want to use an email marketing platform for better deliverability. And also the analytics are there. If you're using a email marketing platform, you can always check the open rates. You can check actually how long the person actually stayed in reading your email too. And it's also good for managing your lists so that you can move your list around. You can add people to your list, to specific lists, or divide it up. You may find a subset of people who want a particular service from you, and you can manage your list a little bit easier by creating other lists that you send specific emails to. You also are looking at the frequency. You've got to look at this. And my view is sending out emails frequently enough that you stay in people's minds, but not so frequently that you become a nuisance. I am not a proponent of sending out emails every day. I see people who do that, but I don't even open them because that's me. If you can send out emails on a weekly basis or monthly basis, do that. Don't go any longer than a month. My preferred method is to do weekly emails of some kind. You need to be consistent with it. You can use automation, which I use consistently. With automation, you can write your content, write your emails, and schedule them. You can sit 1 week or even 1 day and write 3 or 4 different emails and schedule them so that they go out on a regular basis so that you don't have to do it. You want to send more content than sales emails, because if a person only gets emails from you wanting them to purchase, then that's not good. That is saying that you don't really care about them. You just care about solving their problem. You just care about making money, which making money is fine, but content is going to build your credibility. It's going to say that you're trustworthy. It's going to see you as the expert, or you're going to be positioned as the expert. And that's what you want. You want people to come to you because you have something that they want. And the only way they know that is by you giving them content, value that they value. You can do this through webinars, videos, podcasts, blogs, horoscopes, but you do want to give quality content. And this can be content, usually it's content that is free because you want people to come to you to do astrology readings. You want to have a goal for your emails. And Lori talked about this before, where it's a 1-to-4 ratio. For 4 emails, it would be nice if you had one person sign up for your offering or sign up for something else that you have out there. Lori, what would you like to add?
I thought I'd just share a couple of other automation examples in case you're all wondering, like, oh, what do you mean by automations? The welcome sequence is important. That's why it was listed a few times. But there's other automations that you can do. For example, if you're going to give away a freebie on your website, that's all automation. Like you don't have to do anything besides make the freebie and get it set up. But once people sign up, they go and they see, oh, that's a really cool thing. I'm going to go download that astrology thing. I give you my email, I click subscribe, and what happens? Well, what happens is that your email marketing service, like MailerLite or MailChimp or ConvertKit, Constant Contact, there's many of them out there. You have set it up already so that as soon as that subscribe button is hit, or whatever you name your button, the email service automatically will send an email that you've already written, you've already designed. It's got your brand consistency in there, all your colors, your logo, and it sends the email to that person. And automations can be far more complex than that. You can have a sequence, like 4 different emails, and you can say how many days in between. You can even have if then, if you want to get into complex automations. This video is more introductory, so I don't want to suggest to you that you do something that's really complex. That would be something that you would do if you're growing and scaling your business. But it is important to know that they exist, because whenever you have the opportunity to put one in place, you'll know, because this is a marketing plan. Everything that we've covered, every slide that we've covered would be a section of your marketing plan. And it's not about going and doing it right now. It's about writing the plan. Of course, you can go and do it right now, but what we're hoping is that you're seeing all these different components of the marketing plan. And if you haven't written your marketing plan before, or if you have one and you don't have all of this information in it, what you're doing is you're writing down, what are you doing now and what is your goal? If you don't have an email marketing service, then your goal would be to find an email marketing service and sign up with them and get your platform going. Okay, now's the money part. You can't have a marketing plan without a budget. I wish that we could say that marketing is not that expensive, and maybe it's not. I mean, you can certainly do marketing on a very low budget when you're first starting out. But at some point, you're going to have to scale and you're going to have to pay money. You will have to pay for subscription, and I have only a handful to share with you in the slide, but there's so many. Like this presentation was made in Canva, and to have all of the different features, you have to pay. You will have to pay for your website hosting. You may have to pay a designer to make your website. You will have to pay eventually for your email marketing service, even if you can get started for free. At some point, when your list grows, you're going to have to pay. So this is just for you to think ahead about what it's going to cost you to run your business. In the business plan, which we talked about in our last video, we talked about the cost of running your entire business. Now we're just talking about your marketing budget, which tends to be a big chunk of your budget. At companies, the biggest line item in a budget is human resources. When you're a solopreneur, that may or may not be true. You may end up paying more for your platforms than for your team. It really depends on how you set up your business. But this slide is really to call your attention to some of the most common expenses that come along with the marketing part of your business, and so that you can plan ahead, so you can think about all of these expenses and what you're going to get first. Like your website hosting. If you don't have a website, That would be first. I get your email marketing second, but you can usually find one that you can get started with for free. And then at some point you'll have to step up and pay. But with the website, if you're going to use a free version, then you're also going to have that company's name in your website domain name. So it's really better to just go ahead and buy your domain and pay for hosting, and then sign up for a free email service like MailerLite. And then when you need more from that service, then you can pay. Here's the things that you may or may not have to pay for. Paid advertising is first, but honestly, it should have been last, because I do not recommend you do paid advertising until you've been in business, you're making money, and you have a product that you think, that you know, not think, that you know will sell. Something that's already made money, like a digital course, it's already making you money, and you want to expand to a greater number of people. That would be a good reason to use advertising, but it's not the first thing that you do. It comes in later. We have the platforms, the software, the subscriptions. So it's all that stuff that you're going to need to run your business. And then there's membership fees. If you're not already a member of an organization, it's a great way to network. It's a great way to find clients. It's a great way to find collaborators. So you might want to join OPA or IZAR or AFA
Or NCGR.
CGR. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
there's some really good ones
Yeah.
out there. And I highly recommend that you join one or two or all of them if you can. And the same thing goes for conferences. Go to conferences when you can, because it's great for networking. And then there's taxes and accounting. If you are paying taxes, hooray! You want to know why I say that? Because that means you're in business and you're making money. If you're paying taxes, it's for real. So whenever you start making money, you're going to have to start paying taxes. And of course, that depends on what part of the world you live in. You need to know what is required. We talk about that more in our business plan video. If you want to hear more about that, please go check out that video. And then at some point, you will probably want to hire an accountant. When you're actually making a decent amount of money, an accountant can help you pay the right amount of taxes, not too much. And they can also help you when you want to go from being a sole proprietor to a more covered type of business, like an LLC or an S corporation, or even incorporating. Because if you are a sole proprietorship in the United States, I'm speaking to the US right now, there's some risk, some personal risk that comes with that. And then in other countries, there's probably something similar. So you just want to know like what the laws are and how to best protect yourself. Hire freelancers on your team. That is something that you're going to want to do as soon as you can afford to. And the rule of thumb, the guideline, is to try to hire someone before you actually need them. Now, that's not always possible depending on your income situation, but if you can, hire your team before you desperately need them. You're also going to want to budget for continuing education. More than any other group of people that I've ever met, astrologers have a thirst for knowledge that never goes away. And astrology offers us so much information that it's nearly impossible to learn it all in one lifetime. So you probably are going to want to budget for your continuing education. And then the last thing on this list is your printing and office supplies. Things that maybe you don't think about, but then the next thing you know, your printer ran out of ink and you have to drop $150 on more ink for your printer. This is probably not a comprehensive list, but it is a good one to get you started on planning ahead for how much you're going to need to spend in marketing. Marie, what would you like to add?
Oh my goodness, this is a good list, and I don't see anything else that I would want to add to this. You can start out with a small budget. As your business grows, you increase the budget. You want to, as you're making money, you want to put some of that money back into the business to grow it. Marketing goal setting. When you're going to come up with your marketing plan or any type of marketing, you must have regular goal setting, which means that you need to track how you're progressing and you need to tweak as you go. You need to have an organized action list so that you can follow it. and stick to it. If you are able to set marketing goals on a regular basis, then it's easier for you to course correct. You can tweak as you go along. You want to make sure that you have short-term goals and you have long-term goals. Your short-term goals are basically your daily to-do list. What are you going to do each day? You want to also have a monthly task planner, because you want to look at, number one, how many hours are you going to spend on your marketing for your short-term goals and even your long-term goals, but how much time do you have? How much time do you have in a week? Are you going to spend an hour a day? Are you going to spend an hour a week? All of that has to be looked at and determined. So with your short-term goals, you may have a short-term goal of, I want to have 5 clients in a month, or you want to have people sign up. There's so many people sign up for your email list by a given time. That's okay for short term. Long term is going to be the bigger picture. And if you come up with a long term marketing plan, then you can break that down into shorter, doable pieces on a daily basis so that you can reach the goal. Your goals need to be SMART goals, meaning they need to be specific. So you want to say, I want to have 5 clients or 5 people sign up for my email list in a week. I mean, it could be anything, but it needs to be specific. It needs to be able to be measurable, meaning you need to be able to know that it happened, do it using your analytics, and it needs to be attainable. It needs to be realistic. So it can't be something that is so grandiose that you're not able to actually reach it. And you also need to say the timing. So when do you want this to occur? Your long-term goals are vision oriented. They're the big picture, as I said before. Where do you want to be in a year from now? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? You really need to contemplate that and think about it. How much business can you handle? How do you want that business structured? Do you want to do one-on-one astrology readings? Do you want to get into teaching? Do you want to do conferencing? All of that goes into your long-term goals. You want to only have a few big goals there, because it's nice to sometimes have 2 or 3 goals, but are they achievable? You only have 24 hours in a day, and you don't want to stretch yourself too thin. So if you can have 1 or 2 big visions, that's good enough. You also want to write out your goals, because if you write them out, it's going to be more likely that you can achieve the goals. You want to, of course, schedule goal reviews. If you want to do it quarterly, monthly, actually, I like looking at goals on a monthly basis. How are you doing with this particular goal? Because you can then change it. If you're not reaching the goal, you can change your marketing strategy. You want to, of course, look at benchmarks, and when you reach your goals, make adjustments. And a good time to review your goals is really during Mercury retrogrades, which we get 3 or 4 of those a year. It doesn't mean that you want to change the goal during Mercury retrograde or tweak it, but you do want to look at it and analyze and see what's working and what's not working. Lori, what would you like to add to this?
I have a tip for you on writing your goals. And it has to do with what you can and cannot do yourself. So it is important to have a goal like, I want to have 100 new subscribers to my email list in a year. It's a smart goal. However, you aren't the one actually subscribing to your list. It's your clients, the people you're trying to get in your funnel. So have that sales goal, because it's important to have it. I know, how many subscribers do you want? How many new clients do you want? Like, those are important goal numbers to have. But when you're writing your SMART goal, you want to word it in a way that it's something that you can do. So you can't go out and make those 100 people sign up, at least not in any kind of moralistic or legal way. But what you can do is entice those people to sign up. So your SMART goal that goes with your subscribe goal would be written differently. So it's what can you do to entice those people? Because that's as far as you can take it. If you want to check the box next to that goal, then you're going to say, I am going to write 24 blogs or 52 blogs. Maybe you're going to write one a week. That's what you're going to do to get those 100 subscribers. I'm going to record a YouTube video every week, or I'm going to record a YouTube video twice a month. That's the corresponding SMART goal that goes with your other goal. Because I don't think that we should say to not have them. You want to have number goals, but you want to write your actual goals, your SMART goals, or your to-do lists based on the things that you can do. And if you can't do it, then you want to write it in a way that you're doing your part in trying to fulfill that goal of subscribers and clients. Those are the two that I tend to track. There are others, but in terms of like your business, it's the number of clients and subscribers. So those could be just your two starting analytics that you go with.
Yeah.
But when you're writing your list of things that you're going to do, your SMART goals of how you're going to do that, make sure that you write it in a way that it's things you do and not somebody else that's doing them. Because you'll never be able to check that box unless you get the 100, which is great. But what if you got 99? Does that mean you can't check the box?
Of course not. Any respectful Virgo would not check that box.
Right. So you want to be able to check the box because you know that you were able to do it. All right. Evaluation and review. It's really important that you review your marketing plan regularly. I'll share how often I do it. I have it on my calendar quarterly. Do I look at it more often than that? Probably yes, because I have my marketing plan written in a way that it keeps track of a lot of things. So I'm constantly updating it. But in terms of reviewing and evaluating my marketing plan, I have it as quarterly. I do tend to do it under a retrograde. So whether my calendar syncs up to it or not, I'm looking at my marketing plan under a Mercury retrograde. And I suggest that you do too, because the retrograde is a perfect time to review, reflect, and realign. Those are my 3 keywords that I use for Mercury retrograde, and they're a wonderful thing to do to a marketing plan. So then what are you doing with this evaluation and review? Well, for one, you want to have KPIs. What are KPIs? Well, again, another term we didn't make up. We're taking it from the business side of things, the industry of any large company that you've ever heard of. They definitely have KPIs. And if you go to their board meetings or if you go to their marketing meetings or any kind of meeting, there's going to be some manager, some director standing at the head of the table saying, tell me about the KPIs. Key performance indicators. Big words, but easy to understand. So what are your key performance indicators? Well, most likely it's going to be subscribers or followers, YouTube views, and sales numbers, things like that. So you have to decide what you're going to track, and you can't track everything. Please don't try, because it'll be a waste of your time. Only track the things that you really need to know about. Sometimes we're overwhelmed by how much there is in analytics, how much we can access with all of our different platforms. And not all of it is going to be as helpful as some of the other things that are in your analytics. So make sure you're choosing the right analytics that actually give you information that helps you make business decisions. If it's not helping you, then don't track it, because you're busy and you don't need to spend your time doing things that aren't helping you grow your business. And then in terms of frequency, I think we've already talked about that. Reviewing your marketing plan helps you catch things early. And that's why I really like to do it during a Mercury retrograde, because I think the Mercury retrograde is all about going back and reviewing and finding the cracks in the foundation or highlighting unresolved relationship issues. Those are great things to look back upon during a retrograde. And your marketing plan, it's there to keep you on course, right? It's there to keep you focused and help you stay focused. but it also is a work in process. It's a document that's never finished. It's not supposed to be finished. It's supposed to evolve and adapt and update with you. That doesn't mean that you can't save the old versions and make a new one with the new date so you can see how it evolved over time. But your marketing plan isn't something that's a static document. It's a constantly updated document. So every time that you're reviewing it, you're probably going to make slight adjustments. And sometimes you're going to make large adjustments. Sometimes you're going to realize that you thought you were all about your YouTube channel, but instead you're all of a sudden all about a digital course. That seems like a better course of action for you. So you just want to capture all that in your marketing plan. Another reason to evaluate your marketing plan regularly is so that you can celebrate. And you want to write your SMART goals. You want to break them down so that you can achieve little chunks at a time. If you have this really big goal, you break that goal down into 10 steps and you celebrate each step along the way. Why? Because this is a mindfulness thing. You learn this in mindfulness. If you put only the big goal as the achievement, your success is way in the future. And it's much better to bring success into the present moment. What can you celebrate right now? Celebrate that small accomplishment. Don't just be like, oh, I only got 5 subscribers and I'm all about the 100. No, you got 5 subscribers. That's a big deal. Celebrate that. So your benchmarks, your milestones along the way, you want to celebrate them. You want baby celebrations, small celebrations. Celebrate the 5 and then celebrate the next 5 and celebrate the next 5. And I don't know what that's going to be. It could be taking yourself to Starbucks. It can be buying yourself a new outfit. It can be taking the night off and going out to eat. Whatever it is, you decide. It doesn't have to be big and it doesn't have to even cost money for that matter, but you want to have these small baby celebrations.
Mhm.
And in your marketing plan, you need to know what you're going to evaluate. That is what this section is all about. So what do you have to add to that, Marie?
Yeah. One of the things that came to mind as we're talking was with every new client that I have, I ask them how they heard about me. Was it from a referral? Was it from a YouTube? Was it from a talk that I gave? Because that's going to inform me of where I need to shift my marketing plan. Because if you're getting a preponderance of clients from one particular area, oh yeah, you want to beef up that particular platform or whatever it is you're doing. So pay attention to where you're actually getting clients and also pay attention to where people are coming from when they sign up from your email list. Are you getting people from your YouTube channel or from the newsletters or that you send, well, not the newsletters that you send out, but maybe you're on other people's podcasts. Are people coming to sign up to your email list from there? Usually, every time I'm on somebody's podcast, I get a group of people coming to sign up for my email list, which tells me marketing for me, I really need to be out there speaking, being on other people's podcasts. So you need to look at where people are actually finding you.
That's why you want to look at your marketing plan regularly, right? Because it's like you're going to find that information and then you can adjust your
Mhm.
plan as needed.
Exactly. You have to do that. You don't have to stay with a plan just because you've been doing it for a year and you've put a
Mhm.
lot of content in it. You can go to another plan and repurpose the content.
Yes. Way to bring it all together. Yeah.
So the other thing with your marketing plan is using astrology. I mean, we are astrologers. So we have access and knowledge. What's going on with the transits, the secondary progressions, looking at your solar return. What perfection year are you in? Are you in a 10th house perfection year or a 12th house perfection year? The other thing is looking at your company's chart. Whenever you started business, you have a chart there for the business. So, in addition to looking at your chart, you need to look at the chart of your business. You also want to look at astromapping. Astrocartography is fantastic for looking at what line you're actually on. Is your business on a Jupiter line or are you on a Jupiter line? Is your Jupiter in your chart well aspected? How strong is it? If it's a weaker Jupiter, maybe you don't want to be on a Jupiter line. Looking at the cycles, and with cycles, we're referring to Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. This is going to inform you when to launch marketing plans or how they're going, how challenging they're going to be. You're looking at important election dates, important dates, basically, of timing the release of maybe different programs or release of your marketing plans. Do you really want to release an email or some type of strategy that you've put together? Do you want to release that during a Mercury retrograde? Do you want to release that when a planet is retrograde? It could be Saturn retrograde or Uranus. You want to look at all of this because your timing is really important. You want to have a great plan at the right time. There is no such thing as luck. Luck is preparedness, that when you are prepared when the opportunity arises, and right timing is a part of being prepared with that plan. And yeah, I don't believe in luck either. I believe in timing and having a good plan. So that's what you want. It's our superpower, having the astrology background. So use it when it comes to your marketing plan. Lori.
I always like to say that in every other type of business, they're pretty much throwing a dart at the calendar. The best plan can fall apart at the wrong time. And
Mm-hmm.
astrology is all about helping you find the right time or the best time. And even with a small period of time, like you have to do a release or announcement, you can't wait 3 months, you have to do it in the next week. You can still choose the ascendant, even if you can't change anything else, or you have a couple of options for the moon. There are definitely ways that we as astrologers can use timing to our advantage. And I think that astrology, more than any other type of approach that I can think of, really shows the concept of only comparing yourself to yourself. I start all my classes with that because it's so important. Some people have fast charts, some people have a lot of harmony or trines or ease, and then other people have a lot of difficulty and challenges in their chart, and their pace and their plans are going to look different. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
compare yourself to that person, no more than you can compare yourself to an astrologer who's very successful and very well known and who has been in business for 30, 40 years. Like, you're not going to be that person after a year or two. It's going to take
That's
you
right.
5 to 10 years before you can even be somewhat in the same ballpark. And of course, depending on your chart, it might be 2 years. There's always the exception to the rule that we can find, somebody who just had a chart that worked, the timing was right, the planets were in alignment, and they went from 0 to 200,000 subscribers on YouTube in a matter of months. I'm not saying it cannot happen, but we're all different and we have to compare
Yeah.
ourselves to ourselves. We have to know what our chart says about our pace, about our timing, and use it to our advantage.
Yep.
And have those
There
little,
is usually no such thing as an overnight success. You've done some prep.
right. There is somebody who was quoted about that. I think it was Lionel Messi. It might have been somebody else, the soccer player, because in a class that I was in, he was the example chart and he was being called an overnight success. And he was like, I am not an overnight success. It's taken me however many years. It's just overnight you found out about me. And I'm not quoting him at all. I can't remember, but he said it so well. And if you look at anyone who appears to be an overnight success, and then you look under the hood and you're like, okay, well, what have you been doing to get to this point?
Yep.
It's not overnight.
That's right. It's not.
That's all we have for you folks.
I love it.
Just another short video from Lori and Marie.
That's what happens when you have Mercury and Jupiter team up together.
So Marie and I are both faculty at Kepler College, and we teach courses on the material that we're sharing with you. Marie, do you want to share about your courses?
Oh, sure. I teach two courses at Kepler College, and they're both related to life coaching skills for astrologers. The first one's taught in the spring, and it's Fundamentals of Life Coaching for Astrologers, Part 1, where we talk about how we can utilize life coaching as astrologers in our practice. The second part is really the business of the business. So, how do you set up a business as a life coach and even as an astrologer? One is taught in the spring and one is taught in the summer. So you can always check with the catalog to get the specific dates of when these courses are being taught. And Lori, you have a class also.
I do. I teach marketing for astrologers in the fall, and in my class, I cover all of the concepts that we've shared with you today. And we are talking about the seasons of the Northern Hemisphere, by the way. So if you're down under or down in South Africa or anywhere in the Southern Hemisphere, you'll have to flip the seasons. And this is how you can find us. We really appreciate you joining us today. We hope that you will like this video and subscribe to our channel. You can hit the little alarm bell if you want to be notified when Kepler College releases more videos. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for
Absolutely.
joining
See
us.
you next time. Bye bye.